Okay, this is going to be kind of a long tutorial, but it's going to show you guys how to do a couple things in Aspire. Um, so Aspire 10.5 should be on your desktop, and if you open that up, it looks like this when you get into it. So the first thing that you're going to do when you open it is you're going to create a new file, and it automatically prompts you to set up your job. So there's a lot of different stuff we can do: single-sided, double-sided, rotary. We're going to stick with single-sided for now unless you feel like going further. And then the first thing you got to do is get your piece of wood that you're making this on and choose your job size. And I would suggest to always go a little bit smaller than your piece of wood. Like if it's just over 6 inches, maybe round it to 6, and then you do your height, width, and then your thickness, and make sure you pay attention. Like width is X, so it's going across. So if you want it to be longer, then your width would be shorter. But we'll just have a square of 6 by 6 by 0.75. And your area out here, your 2D view, that kind of shows like what it looks like, kind of. And then your datum position, this is your origin, so you can choose, which one. I think center is the easiest way to learn. And then if we have extra, we can just trim it off. And then all the other stuff, we're just going to leave. You can change this, but we'll just keep standard resolution in Maple. So click OK. Now when you get in here, you've got a whole bunch of design stuff here. You got, how to draw shapes, text. There's stuff with bitmaps. There's also, you can import things from Onshape, and that's actually how I'm going to start. So we're going to get our file in here from Onshape. And some of you guys have done this, but I modeled this little dish thing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the most outside shape of my model, and I'm going to right-click on it and choose Export as a DXF. And this is what we do with the ice scrapers, if you had a part in that. And I'm just going to call this dish experiment. Okay, and it downloads it to our downloads. So then I can go back to Aspire and I can import vectors. So I can grab a vector. So I'm going to go for my downloads. I've got dish experiment. A vector is a DXF, so I'm going to click open. Sure, let's see what happens. So this gets put in. So this is my little dish. So I can do something with this shape, and this is the actual size. So I've got a measuring tool here. If I measure across, this should be like, it's 3 inches, so it's pretty close. I didn't exactly get straight around, but so you've got a measuring tool. But yeah, that kind of got our dish in here, and then we can do some different things with that. Another thing that we can do is put bitmaps in, which bitmaps are pictures. So like, if I wanted to find a bird, and I'm going to look up black and white. Go to images, find something that kind of works here, something kind of simple because I don't want to get too crazy. Oh, this looks cool. So I'm going to save this image as, I'm going to wait for it to load completely. Not wanting to do that. We'll just do this one. So I'm going to copy this image, or no, save this image. And I'm just going to put it on my desktop for now and call it birds. So then I can go over here and I can import a bitmap. And if I go to my desktop, I can grab birds, click open. So now I can actually trace this. So if I go to trace bitmap, this is kind of like in Lightburn. How you do this, you click preview and then it'll draw your lines in. So that's good. I'll apply that. Close. Now I can erase my picture and I'm left with my lines. If I want to resize stuff, I can double click on it. I can drag it back and forth to change the size, or if I want it to stay in the center, I can hold shift and it'll size it by the center. So now I've got that in there. Somehow this uncentered itself, but that's okay. So now I'm going to, let's just add some text. So you get really creative here. I'm just going to write birds. And there's a whole ton of fonts that you can go through and find something, you know, that you like. I'm just going to size this down. I can also rotate, so maybe I'll rotate this a little bit. That is weird. I'm just going to pop that in there. So I got this little dish thing, and yeah, we're close. Now I've got birds, and you know, you can design whatever you want, pictures, DXS, whatever. Now I'm going to go in and show you a couple different things that we can do. So when we go to set our toolpaths, okay, this is what tells the CNC what to do. We're going to learn three, so profile, pocket, and V-carve. So I'm going to do a profile first. So I'm going to choose the outside of my circle, and I'm going to go to toolpaths. I'm going to choose the profile, and now this is when I can change like how much I want to cut it. So start depth is going to be at 0 for this one because we're going to start right at the top. Pocket depth or cut depth is going to be 0.75 because I want it to cut all the way through my board. When you go into your tool, the end mill 1/4 inch is normally what we're going to use to cut stuff with. We want to make sure that we don't cut out too much. So our pass depth, I think 0.1 is pretty good for pass depth, depending on your wood. The pine that we have is pretty easy. Feed rate, we can have 100. Don't go any faster than that. So these are good settings for that. Everything else is pretty normal. So you click OK. And this always pops out. You just got to keep clicking on it. So we want it to go outside because we want it to be the same size that we have. But you can change it to inside or left. Tabs are nice. Okay, so when you if you cut a piece out of a larger piece and you want to add tabs, that the drill bit will lift up a little bit and it'll just like skip that part so it won't go flying out when you're cut. So I'm going to add those two. And ramps and leads and all that kind of stuff, that's all good, but we don't really need that. So I'm going to call this the circle outside. And I'm ready to calculate. So when I do calculate, it shows up like this. It changed to 3D view, so now I can rotate this. But I can actually preview my part. So preview. So that's the actual cut that this bit is going to make. So if I look at it, I can see the tabs are in there and it's all cut out. Okay, so now I'm going to close this one and I'm going to start another cut path. This time I'm going to do the inside circle. I'm going to select that and I'm going to do a pocket. So here's pocket. What pocket does is it cuts out everything inside. So again, I want the end mill. I'm going to make this 0.25 because that's how my model was. I want it to go down 1/4 inch. Check my end mill. It should be about the same. So I'm going to change it to 0.1. 100 is good. I had this set up for a different drill bit. So, oh, it is a different drill bit. This is end mill 1 1/4. So I'm going to select a different one. I'm going to go to end mill 1/4 inch, and there's a whole ton of different bits that you can use. Depending on what you want to make, but for right now, if we're doing a pocket, we'll just use an end mill. So I choose select, and now I don't know why it has both, but I'm going to remove this one and check the settings. So again, I want 0.1 is the path depth, 100, so I click OK. Alright, so now there's a little less stuff. You can choose how it goes, but I don't know enough to know what the best way for that is. So it says it's 3 passes. So I'm going to call this inside circle and click calculate. So now I can preview this. So when I preview it, it now has that part cut out. So it's like kind of like it's got that little dish effect that we were looking for. So one last thing, well, not the last thing, but second to last. All right, I'm going to select the birds, the word, and the bird. And this time, we're going to do a V-carve. But we have to remember we cut down 0.25, so our start depth is going to be 0.25 into it. Flat depth is kind of cool. That makes the whole the depth flat, but I'm going to take that off right now. There's a bunch of V-carve bits, and just depending on what you're doing, it takes experience to learn this, but like the 60 and 1/4, because we're doing something small, is good, but 90 and 1/2 is a little bit bigger. I don't have this one, but we've got these two. There's also ball nose that you can use. Just really depends on what you're doing. So I'm going to choose this one, click select, and I can use a clearance tool if I want, like if I've got a big area that I need to clean out, but right now we don't have that much. So now I'm going to call this birds. When I calculate this, right, it's going to do my V-carve, so I'll do preview selected toolpath and rotate this around so I can see what it looks like. So that is how that'll cut it out. Now I've got an issue because this cut away, so I might want to adjust that, go back to my 2D view. It's just the way that the drill bit, but that's the cool thing about the software is it finds that out for us. So what I could do is I could move this down, and then I'm going to reset my preview, double click on this, recalculate this with the new location, and then I can preview all toolpaths. It's going to cut out first, then do that, and then do the V-carve, and now I've got no interference with it, so that looks pretty cool. I want to do one more, so I'm going to reset this preview. I'm going to do one more. So on the 2D view, when we do this, I'm going to select the circle, birds, and the birds. So I've got all these selected, and now this time I'm going to do a pocket. I'm going to choose a pocket. I'm going to change my bit. So from the 1/4 mil, I'm going to select the ball nose 1/4 inch. Click select, and then I'm going to go edit. I'm going to remove this one, edit this, and again change it 0.1, 100, and then if I click OK, I'm going to calculate this one, and let's see how this works. So I'm going to just preview the selected toolpath. So a little different because the words didn't quite get in there. I think that's just because the bit is too big, but the idea is it's like you can clean out the inside. So I wonder if I made this bigger. Let's see if it works now. Reset the preview. It's a little better, but it's still not great. Let's try and change our bit. So we'll go back here. So I'm going to edit or select. See if we do. See what happens when we do this. I'm going to select that, remove this, and now calculate. Oh, I forgot to reset. So reset preview. So it's a better detail, but I think we still got some work to do. The idea is that you can do the inverse. So if you draw a circle around it, you can do the inverse. I know it's not great, but I would probably spend some more time with this and really get it to work. Like maybe if I change this, so I'm going to erase this. Let's go back. So we've got that selected. Let's see if we change it to a V carve. We'll do flat depth 0.125. Calculate. Reset preview. So that's pretty cool. So that gives you the idea. Just knowing that putting different shapes in there will give you a different different setup. Now the last thing, okay, you always want to check. Like I bet this one's going to be super long. If you select it and you click the time, it'll tell you how long it is. So this is 1 hour for that to cut. The birds, the first one we did, that is 4 minutes. So that's a lot better. Inside circle, that one probably took no time at all. 3 minutes. So just keep that in mind. You know, you don't want to start something that takes an hour and then you're stuck waiting for it. So the last thing we're going to do after you get this, okay, so you select the one that you want. Maybe we want to do the circle outside first. You click the save, and this is when you go to save it on a flash drive to bring back to the CNC machine. We have two machines here. The machine with the black frame and the silver table is a CNC Shark USB Arcs Inch. And then the yellow one is Cam Master Single Tool Inch. So you got to decide which one you want to cut on. They're both kind of the same. So you choose one of these and then click Save Tool Pass. Save it onto your flash drive and you are ready to go set it up and cut it.